I mean, this is heavy. Feel this.
Oh, don't let go, don't let go.
Well, I mean, you're kind of off balance there, but that has some weight. Welcome back to Munro Live. So we have been invited by Kia to view some of their new vehicles that are upcoming. And though we traditionally review electric vehicles, this is not an electric vehicle, but we're still going to take the opportunity to look it over and review it while we were here. Thanks to Kia for letting us do this. Now, first thing I have to make mention, that is a yellow car. Who would pick that car? All right. A little story. I was talking to someone long ago and they said, if you ever want to buy a used car, buy a green used car. Here's the rationale that they said. People that pick white, black, and gray is like the absence of making a decision. They really can't understand what they actually want. They just want to sell it later and it's going to be the best resale value. More than likely, they don't take care of their cars as well as people that are passionate about a car. But someone who specifically picks this color, more than likely picked that color for a reason. They liked that color. They liked this vehicle within that color. So you would traditionally trust that person to take care of their vehicle more than you would trust someone who decided, I want white, black, or gray. All right, whether that's true or not, I just want to have some sort of story to tell about the yellow because personally, I don't like the yellow, but that is my opinion. So this is Kia's new K4 Hatchback. Now, we did review another vehicle, the electric version, which was a sedan. It has some of the same overall proportions. There are some slight differences. And then of course the hatchback to sedan back is the big difference. A slightly shorter vehicle, supposed to be sportier. The overall look, I do like it. I think the body is simple. There's still styling elements, but a lot of the extraneous decoration has been removed. Again, my recent pet peeve are those front fenders. A fender, a piece of trim, and then fascia. 3 components. Very, very simple. The black decoration hugs the bottom of the vehicle, which is something that you would more traditionally expect. It's not breaking up the door in any way that is not necessary. So there's cost savings there. Not just a cost save to the OEM. Think about repair costs. Let's say someone bangs into your door. You need to get a new door. They'll sell you a door shell, but then all of the components that are on the door, you have to buy separately if those have been damaged. By having fewer components, there's less things that you have to replace if there is damage. So I think in just owning it over a long period of time, having that type of simplification ends up to cost savings for the customer as well, not just the OEM. I don't want to say too much about the styling in the front. I don't want to talk about, oh, this geometric shape or this. I'm just going to say look at it. Looking at it yourself, seeing how that headlight blends in, how it ties into the front grille. The overall styling, I think, is fairly slick. It's fairly clean. So in general, I like it. I do not know what options may be on this vehicle in the future. I hate things like this. This little black band, you'll see this one here, and then you'll also see another one in the rear. I've had different customers that have had that feature. Sometimes it's just supposed to be a breakup in the overall design of the vehicle. Lots of times, this is an area to hide masking. If I wanted to have a two-tone vehicle and I wanted to paint the roof a different color, behind this component is where I would hide that transition. So I've had a lot of OEMs that have started out with this in their design, planning to have a two-tone vehicle sometime in the future, and then never do a two-tone. So they wasted their money making this component and the rear component to prepare for a feature that they never actually even used. I don't know if this is going to be two-tone. I don't know if that is just for styling, but I think that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb to me. I don't really care for it. Now inside the rear, it's fairly basic. You'll notice I don't see any electronic ports that we would normally see on some of the more expensive vehicles, $50,000 and up. I do not know what the selling price of this vehicle is going to be, but here's something that's a little curious to me. Here's our load floor. We do have a folding, removable load floor, but they put tie downs onto that removable load floor. Now, if I am clamping something in the trunk to the board, it makes sense to have this tie down here. If I have something that may be oversized and I'm trying to clamp between here and this upper grocery hook, that's just going to lift that up. So having this tie down attached to the removable load floor, I think is a little funny. It would make more sense to put it somewhere on the body or the side panel of the vehicle, not on a removable liftable part. When we look at this door panel, we have the thermoformed or soft touch upper panel. This actually carries down. We have the wrapped mid bolster. We have the wrapped armrest going to injection molding. In the past, this is what I said was a Taco Bell interior. Basically, you have a certain number of ingredients that you just put together in a different way and say that this is now a new offering. Everything from our $28,000 vehicle up to $65,000 vehicle uses the same type of materials and the same technologies. It's mostly just the styling that changes to execute the different looks. So I have a criticism. If I'm spending $30,000 for a vehicle, or if I'm spending $60,000 for a vehicle, what feature am I actually pointing to that is justifying that cost if all of them are manufactured the exact same way with similar materials? We do have a 6-way power seat, and like the electric vehicle reviewed, that is just a plastic side panel. The seat covering materials, we had a lot more style in the electric sedan. This is just a perforated panel, but the perforation is very, very simple. Look at that, from the top of the seat going all the way down to this midpoint. That is just one big unbroken panel. There is no unique perforation across this panel. So this can actually be a large sheet of material that these panels can be cut anywhere out of. This provides the styling, provides the ventilation, but yet also increases the material utilization on their cutting room and on their sewing room floor. So all of these components can be produced at a much less expensive price point. So we just reviewed the EV4 and here the K4 Hatchback. The steering wheel looks common between the two. The only major difference is in the shifter. Rather than having the third stalk on the steering column, we actually do have a shifter here on the center column. This is a traditional ICE vehicle, so more standard shifter, more than likely. But even though this is a different vehicle, I can see some components that are common carryover. There are some themes that are common carryover in the design between the two vehicles. This screen appears to be common between the two vehicles, but the instrument panels are different. The way the brake lines are in the different surfaces and the different components, I can see the difference there. Now here's one big difference from something that I commented on in the EV4, the air vents. These central air vents are still of roughly the exact same size and position from the EV4. But I made mention about the air vents on the EV4 on the outboard. They had moved the air vents up to this other brake line in the vehicle. That actually put the air vent above the steering wheel towards my line of sight. So that would be a more comfortable position blowing on me, the driver. Having it in this lower position, the steering wheel is in the way as it's going to my face and head. So I think that this is actually less of a functional position compared to the EV4. However, the overall size is larger than the EV4. So maybe they think that they're getting a benefit by having a larger air opening compared to the smaller air opening in the EV4, which was higher in vehicle. So looking at these components, I have the soft touch on the upper band of my door panel. There is a soft touch on the top of the IP. But look at this A-pillar. Often these A-pillars would be wrapped with the same material that's used in the headliner, but this is just an injection molding. They actually grained the A-pillar to the same texture of the weave of a headliner. I don't think they're really trying to trick you to think that that is a fabric. The coloring, the feel is completely different, but that's just something that they carried over to have less costly. If I have the headliner material on the A-pillar, I still have to injection mold a plastic A-pillar. Then I have to have some sort of adhesive. I have to have some sort of a wrapping fixture. I need to have a person to actually do that if it's not an automatic system. Then I have to pay for the cost of the fabric. So there is a large cost in transferring this fabric wrapping from this headliner down to the A-pillar. So by trying to save money on a vehicle and provide a vehicle at a lower price point for the customer, I think this is a worthwhile trade-off. Coming to the center console, again, recently on a lot of the Kias and the Hyundais that we reviewed, I've had a big criticism of the center consoles. This center console does have the mechanical shifter. Now, some of the Kias that we have torn down, it has been more complex to remove the center console because we could not remove it as one large component. Because the shifter was here, they had structure that supported the shifter going all the way down to the body. And these components were actually attached to that structure. We had to disassemble the consoles within the vehicles in order to get them out around these shifters. I'm not sure on this vehicle, as I look at these components, this decoration is not an actual split line between multiple components. This is the exact same part, but they changed the grain of the plastic between one and the other, and they produced this little line to give you the impression that it is multiple components. That is just within the styling, but that may mean that this is a more simplified center console. Now, the simplification kind of ends there just because this cup holder. On the one hand, I have two large pockets, which I could just use as two large storage bins. And then I have these deployable cup holders. Why do I think that this is ridiculous? Well, the mechanism cost for this cup holder is fairly high. I have to pay for the cup holder, I have to pay for the spring, I have to pay for the release, and I have to pay for that assembly. Now, not only that, the use of these cup holders. If I have these out and I'm using this as a storage bin, that means I have things in here. I cannot just stop at a convenience store, grab a drink, and then press this button. I have to pick up and I have to remove anything that might be in the way of actually functioning that cup holder. So I have to decide in advance whether I'm going to use a cup holder or if I'm going to use a storage bin. If that cup holder is now deployed, that standing wall is fairly thin, fairly flexible. It's a little cumbersome to switch back in. Overall, I think that this is a feature and it's a complexity that is not really worth it for the vehicle. The risk of damage, the use case of having to decide in advance to clean anything out of here. If I'm throwing loose change in here, I have to move that all the way to say, all right, today it's going to be a cup holder. It's just not worth it. Give a regular cup holder and maybe a little storage bin. So we have more of a traditional door handle on the front of this vehicle. Sweeping back to the rear, we do not have the same type of a handle. We have a handle that is up within this little, I guess you could call sail panel within the windshield. Traditional handle pulling out, this one actually flipping forward to open the vehicle. We've seen some non-traditional handles for the rear of vehicles, specifically some hatchbacks where they just don't have the same body shape and they want to move that feature up. It's just something to make mention of, that it is different, although I don't think it's unique enough to make too big of a deal about. So from the EV4 that we reviewed, this vehicle is mostly the same. I do believe they said that it's a ½ inch lower in the roof. Sitting in this vehicle in a rear occupant position, I still have some decent headroom for someone of my size. I did have to move this seat forward, but I think it's not too far forward that I still could not have a comfortable position with me in the back seat. Now, compared to the other Kias that we reviewed, there's one thing that I have to make mention. I do not have a USB port on the side of the seat. I still have this grab handle feature. So the overall look of this panel is the same as the EV4 that we reviewed, but that is different. Here I do have the USB ports in the center console. So within the same vehicle family, they do it both ways. And the question becomes, why? If I'm looking at the electrical wiring within the vehicle, I have to provide electricity to this point. Now we know the center console is going to have electricity for the other features. We know the seat has electricity. If this seat structure could be common, the wiring harness that goes through the seat back, you could use it across the vehicles. If it's a 6-way power seat, 8-way power seat, I'm certain that the actual seat structure is the same. So I have to now have a unique wiring harness that either provides a USB or does not provide a USB going into this seat. The seat structures are often built up with the structure and all the motors in them. Then when you trim them out, the wiring harnesses sometimes can be provided on that seat structure with a supplier. So now I have to track multiple sub-assemblies of this type of wiring harness or this type of wiring harness for this type of vehicle, there's commonality that you can get by just picking one or the other. If the center console is not always there in the vehicles, I think the seat makes sense. However, I don't really like the little side of the seat there. I think it's a little funny. Look at that, no frunk. But the weight of this hood actually feels much heavier than we saw on the EV4. The rod is the same, but an actual ICE engine, which we don't really get much of a chance to look at with here at Munro. The only thing that's really surprising me more is the lack of beauty covers. There's no panels covering up this engine. They're actually leaving it open and exposed. On the electric that we just reviewed, everything was covered with beauty panels. Now that may be a worry for high voltage. You don't want people sticking their hands in. I just thought it would be interesting to see an actual engine. So for the Kia K4, this is something that I would really like to know the selling price. Now this is not an electric vehicle. This is more of a traditional vehicle. So for me, if I'm trying to look at the cost benefits of this vehicle to the customer, I would really want to see that selling price. Unfortunately, we don't have a price for this vehicle as it is yet. So overall, when I'm looking at what they're offering to the customer, it's a very basic vehicle. It should be a low-cost vehicle, but it does have some nice decoration, nice styling within it. Again, the technology that's used to make a lot of those interior panels is what I would call the Taco Bell technology. It's the same thing that they would even use on a $50,000 vehicle. So it's whether or not the styling is appealing to you for whatever price point this vehicle turns out to be. If you have enjoyed this video and have liked some things that you've seen with Munro Live, please subscribe if you are not subscribed and stay tuned for future videos. Have a good day.